How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to talk you through the Carolina rig, how to tie it, how to use it, and a few extra tips for those of you who are already aware of the rig itself. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so the Carolina rig. You're starting off with your mainline braid. I then use a very fine knot called an FG knot. Now a lot of people, including myself, would normally think, oh, that's a bit much or a bit overkill for perch fishing. In this case it's really not, because I then step up to a 0.4 fluoro leader. So that is very thick, but this is going to be acting as a fail-safe, shall we say. That's going to take the brunt of anything sharp you drag your rig over, instead of it all going on your braid, which is much more likely to fray. On that I then have a float stop, whatever you want to call it. Either way, most of them will suffice in doing the job. Then onto a bullet weight. In this case this is a 10 gram tungsten. Tungsten is much denser, so in some cases you're going to feel a little bit more of what's going on. Clicker bead. Yes, this is a bright pink clicker bead. You can get them made out of glass or plastic. The glass has normally got a bit more noise to it, which, as you will hear now, you're just making that little clicking noise, which is just an extra bit of attractant. The other end of your leader is then tied off to a swivel. In this case I've got an exceptionally small swivel on there. So my leader is normally 12 inches to 1.5 foot sort of thing. And then 12 inch to, again, 1.5 foot hook length. In this case I'm using the 0.4 again because I was fishing water where there's a lot of pike recently. Generally speaking, they'll really struggle to get through that. Wouldn't use this just to target pike, just to clarify. For any of you wire versus trace people out there. And then you're down to your hook and your bait, which I don't know how much you can see. So yeah, that is the basics of the rig itself. So with regards to using this rig, again, as with most things in fishing, I could sit here and tell you my opinion in what I think is the best way to use it, or the best way that it works, or whatever, but the reality is, as with most rigs, you can fish them however you want and everybody gets different results. I mean, obviously there's certain things you don't do with certain rigs, but in the case of the Carolina rig, the way I'm fishing it, obviously again you can do it whatever you like, is I am basically just doing short twitches and drags with using the soft tip of the rod basically. So I'm gently moving it along and then bringing the slack back, and not so much keeping a tight line, but stay close to being in contact, so you can watch, and if that line, which is sat on the water, obviously not completely sagging out, but if you see that move, you know you've got your first hit there, and you can start to reel down and just feel if you can find the presence of a bit of tension, which would indicate the fish is there. And using your bullet weight, you should be able to start finding out a little bit of an idea of what's down on the bottom. So if you're constantly feeling that it's soft, you're either going to be in sand or some sort of weed. Obviously for the perch you want to be over a harder sort of bottom normally, because they prefer to feed over gravel or mussel beds and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, slow twitches, I mean, in the summer you can use it in a slightly different way, in the sense that you can fish it a bit faster over weed, where your bullet weight is going to be sat down in the weed because of the slow, weightless drift of the bait. Once the bullet's stopped its movement, should we say, you're going to have that slow fall down from the bait. So if you're twitching the weight quite quickly along the bottom through the weed, sometimes you can keep your bait just sat up above the weed. And the other cool thing is using a much shorter hook length and actually putting a floating bait on it, so you can just have it popped up off the bottom, and every time you twitch, it's basically pulling the bait down, and then it drifts back up, and then you twitch and it pulls it back down, and it comes back up again. So there's a few different ways that you can use it. I mean, I know people who have tried jigging it mid-water, which is going to give it a really weird, different look compared to anything else you're going to be throwing out there rig-wise. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to use it. My point is, never be afraid to explore something different, other than, you know, away from the norm, should we say. So, tips. Right. So, there's the focus. So, generally speaking, when you're rigging a weedless hook or a bait onto a weedless hook, you're going to be looking at the length of the shank, so before it turns, and you're going to take the nose of your bait, you're going to go in that distance of what the shank is normally at, so about that. You're going to feed that down, and it should sit with the eye of the hook just presenting itself. Now, that's what they say is, you know, is the perfect presentation. However, while I was over in Holland, Pascal taught me this tip, so you can all thank Pascal. Make sure to check out his Instagram. The guy's crazy, catches some perch of a lifetime on a daily basis. But he taught me this trick, and I didn't think it would make much difference, but it really did. So instead of going in that distance of the shank, go in a bit further. Go in, say, I don't know, 3 to 5 mil further. Feed that through. So now, let me just actually rig the bait up for you this time. So now, we've basically set it up so that the eye of the hook and the knot are both hidden inside the bait, which means it will roll over any snags far easier, instead of it getting stuck on the knot or on the eye of the hook and damaging your knot, potentially weakening your knot, or you know, around the knot anyway. This just allows you to ride over things a little bit easier. So, are we still in focus? There we go. So fingers crossed, that's a good tip for you. Just slightly changing how you're actually rigging your bait itself. Now, another point, let me just flick you back onto autofocus. There you go. Another point that I think is one to be noted is your rod choice. Now, I'll just put that away before I forget to. Now, I use a 240cm medium heavy rod. So this rod in particular has loads and loads of backbone, but it still has a very soft tip. So you can feel everything that's going on. When you do come to set the hook, you don't normally want to go on the first sort of hit. You almost want to make sure they've 100% got it before you do a very long sweeping hook set, because you've got to try and bury that weedless hook. Now, the other bonus of having that soft tip is when you have got a really big perch on and they are giving you hell with the head shakes, it's just going to allow the head shakes to be absorbed and less chance of them pinging themselves free, which, let's face it, we all prefer that. I mean, you can use any rod, but that is what I'd recommend anyway. And the final tip that I have for you is to just go out and really enjoy it and just take your time, because with the Carolina rig, because it's such a slow presentation, and you really are going to be shocked if you're used to throwing crankbaits or jigs all the time, because you really are just slowly dragging and hopping along the bottom. For example, a cast for me with a Carolina rig can be at least, you know, twice the length of a cast with a jig. So just be patient, but when you get that first bite and you actually set the hook, on that first fish on a Carolina rig, you will be addicted. There's no other word for it because it is magic. So I hope you guys enjoy using the Carolina rig, and if you have any questions or you need me to do a follow-up video or whatever, just drop me a message on the comments below, on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and I'll hopefully be able to answer your questions for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's of use to you, and I'll catch you sometime soon. Please take it easy and enjoy your fishing. Bye for now.